In spite of what the Indiana Jones films could make you believe, being a paleontologist is involved was the most thrilling position. It is arduous work, and there is no guarantee that discoveries will be made. However, if you happen to come across something significant on occasion, the pursuit of ancient knowledge really comes to life. A group of archaeologists in England recently discovered something truly extraordinary, fulfilling every archaeologist's dream. Additionally, what they discovered may significantly alter our understanding of history. Levant ballasses was in charge of leading this particular excavation, which took place close to the village of Harpole in Northamptonshire, an English county in the middle. He noticed something interesting in the earth while he was looking into what appeared to be an old garbage pit on the site. He knew that whatever it was, based on his expert intuition, was worth further investigation. In December of 2022, when Ballances talked to the UK newspaper The Guardian about this amazing moment in his career, he said, "I was looking through a suspected rubbish pit when I saw teeth, then two gold items appear out of the earth and glinted at me." His voice showed a little emotion as he thought back. But why was Ballas so overwhelmed by what he found that day? Teeth and a little gold don't sound like earth-shattering discoveries that would be exciting to an expert like Ballances, but they might have been. When he looked at these things more closely, their significance became crystal clear to him. Although the gold was a component of the necklace, it was not the only one. The piece of jewelry also had a number of amazing gemstones and glass that were intricately joined together in an exquisite way. Ballances had never seen anything quite like it. In fact, no British archaeologist had ever discovered something like this. However, there are a few other necklaces that are a little bit like this one. They're not even close as great. Likely awesome of the pack is the desborough jewelry, which had been revealed in a similar province as this most recent one back in 1860. That is currently housed within the British Museum. In any case, this most recent accessory is in another association. In this pit, gannett wasn't the only one. In addition to the teeth, there were a few copper pots and a dish down here, most of which were decomposing. Elaine also saw evidence that a skeleton had previously been here, and it became clear from the Ballances that someone was digging a grave. Between 630 and 670 AD, a female was buried here, and the skeleton belonged to her. But who was this woman? What kind of person would be buried with such a high-quality necklace? That's where it gets really interesting for people who like history and archaeology. With its 30 pieces made of gemstones, glass, and a variety of golden coins, the finest necklace of its kind ever found in Britain is without a doubt this one. Let's face it, such a thing could only have belonged to one person at any given time. Someone extremely wealthy, possibly even a royal. That possibility piques my interest. Even if it turns out that this woman was not a member of the royal family, the discovery of her resting place is still extremely significant. The Guardian is informed by Ballas that this is Britain's most significant early medieval female burial. It is an archaeologist's dream to find something like this. When compared to other pieces of jewelry from the British medieval period, the necklace is truly unique. I'm accustomed to Simon calling me excitedly about pot shards. Oliver corrected himself when he learned that Mortimer seemed to clearly disapprove. Naturally, he made a joke about how exciting pot shards are. Oliver then talked about the Harpole excavation, noting that it was immediately apparent that this was something special. In the day the group found the Harpole treasure, I had 5 missed calls from Simon on my telephone. Even though pot shards are exciting, I knew then that this was about more than that. So this ancient woman discovered in Harpole has caused quite a stir. But who was she? It's hard to say, especially when we consider that the only thing left of her is a few shards of her teeth. However, we do have some theories, despite the difficulty of obtaining certainties. This woman appeared to have been wealthy and the leader of a Christian sect. If this is the case, it's possible that she was a princess who led an ab day. If she was a Christian leader, that would be very significant. This woman would, in fact, have been one of the first women on the British island to hold a senior position in the Christian church. For professionals, that is without a doubt significant. Another fascinating aspect of this discovery is what it reveals about the overall state of religion in Britain during this woman's time. This was a transitional period in which Christianity was competing with pagan beliefs and practices for dominance. According to Mortimer's comments to The Guardian, this is a fascinating burial of combined iconography that bears signs of both traditions. The entombment bling has a particularly agnostic flavor, yet the grave is likewise vigorously vested in Christian iconography. Mortimer stated in a statement to the media that this discovery is truly a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the kind of thing you read about in textbooks and not something you expect to see coming out of the ground in front of you. Mortimer is rightfully pleased with how the dig has gone, albeit a little surprised. Vickery could have used its right to claim the necklace because it organized the excavation. However, instead of doing that, the company has allowed the state to acquire ownership of the artifact. The expectation is that it very well may be appropriately safeguarded and in the end showed to people in general. reporting his company's choice to surrender the accessory. Oliver said this tree are satisfied to affirm that these universally significant relics will be talented to the country and any freedoms to the fortune have been deferred. We are very aware of the legacy we leave behind in the communities we create. I couldn't be more excited to see how much more has already been learned after seeing this treasure in person. It is astounding. While addressing the gatekeeper, however, Oliver was somewhat demure when the subject of where the archaeological site really is came up. Of course, we know the general area, but we don't know where exactly. Oliver intends to maintain that state, despite the fact that the Basques, Celts, and northern Spain kept the Romans at bay for a long time. That region wasn't finally conquered until 19 BC, which was almost 200 years after southern Spain was taken. However, the entire region remained firmly under Roman control from this point on. The Murcial locale of present-day Spain was once a truly significant region for the Romans, as it was plentiful and helpful unrefined components. Minerals that were used to forge silver coins were abundant in the area, as was esparto grass, which was apparently woven into a textile. The empire clearly benefited from the abundance of food sources that could be found in Mercia. Olive oil and fish sauce were also produced in the region, and wheat fields supplied the grain that soldiers needed to keep themselves nourished. In addition, Mercia produced valuable and useful rocks like marble and sandstone. Mercia was heavily influenced by the Romans at the time, but they also brought their own innovations to the area. The region's landscape was radically altered by novel farming practices, which were a particularly significant development. As well as presenting better approaches for working the land, the Romans likewise constructed their manors nearby. What comes to mind when we hear the term villa? While the term typically refers to one or more buildings built on agricultural land by the ancient Romans, workers would regularly reside in these spots and appreciate simple admittance to work the land. In point of fact, the south of Spain is home to numerous ruins of such structures. At the height of the Roman Empire's power, the estates all through the Iberian promontory were generally workhouses. That is, workers lived there and worked the land while the proprietors would just visit. However, these properties began to be affected by empire-wide shifts over the subsequent centuries. The Roman realm ultimately began to crumble, and as you might expect, the effects were felt by the people who lived in Spain. Even the more affluent members of the society faced challenges, and those who ran farms had to adapt. Instead of just visiting their villas, they now lived there permanently. As a result, the structures themselves became more ornate. The final archaeological site of Villa Ricos is an excellent example of a Roman villa in Spain. It appears that this location was constructed in the 1st century AD, and construction on it continued for hundreds of years. The villa's character evolved at the same time as its layout and design did. According to historians, the most famous Roman villa is Villa Ricos. However, the reason for this is that the site appears to have all of the characteristics you would expect to see. It is divided into a working area and a residential area, and the latter contains buildings used for manufacturing and storage. Wine and olive oil were being produced in this specific location. With every one of the progressions experienced on the Las Mana Ricos site, it very well may be challenging to hold grasps with its set of experiences completely. Having said that, specialists have recognized 4 primary stages in its timetable, which makes it somewhat more obvious. Before coming to an end roughly 100 years later, the first phase takes us back to the middle of the 1st century. This period in the historical backdrop of the Murcial district extensively compares with an ascent in Roman manors being built. There are a lot of different instances of remnants like this have been found all through the area. One of the archaeologists involved in the excavation provided an explanation of the team's work to historian National Geographic. According to Rafael González Fernández, the experts made their discovery in this section of the site, which had been transformed into an acropolis by the Visigoths. The group clearly hadn't been expecting a disclosure as noteworthy as the one they ultimately made. In point of fact, the experts initially mistook the coffin for something else, such as a standard column. As González laid out simply to English paper The Times in July 2021, the astonishing discovery surprised us. What exactly was the priceless relic if it wasn't an ancient column in the ground? The discovery turned out to be a sarcophagus with amazing carvings on the surface. The exterior of the coffin had beautiful patterns and shapes, some of which were ivy leaves, but the archaeologists didn't find these to be the most interesting carvings. Seemingly the most striking shape cut into the cover of this casket was a cairo image, which has intriguing ramifications. The first pair of letters in the Greek word for Christ are combined to create this shape. These are chi, which is indicated by X shape, and line, which seems to be a P. Clearly, the cairo image is illustrative of Jesus' restoration. Although the Mondrame's association with the Roman military may have contributed to its widespread use throughout Europe, the cairo symbol can be found in numerous works of art dating back to the early days of Christianity. After Emperor Constantine had a vision while praying, it appears that the Cairo was adopted by the empire's forces. The Cairo image on the top of the casket at Law's estate Rico's was without a doubt eye-getting for the specialists who tracked down it. However, they actually needed to check what was inside the stone coffin. They discovered old bones, which was not surprising. What is interesting that it appears that they belonged to multiple people. The discovery will hopefully add some color to what researchers already know about Los Villa Rico's transformation from a Roman agricultural site into a Visigothic burial site. We have no idea who the people inside the sarcophagus were, and we may never find out. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a thing.